Oh my god, hello. I'm just gonna turn the camera on and like do stuff and talk. Okay, so last night I was like thinking about it all night. I was like, oh my god, this is the most interesting thing to like me. And then pretty much I remember going to City College of San Francisco. It's like the best community college, alright? Cause like, I don't know, I noticed there were a lot of like doctors from universities and teaching a community college classroom is like their side hustle or like their side job. And I was like, oh my god, this is so cool that my professor is like a professor or another professor at a university. And it's not like high school. I feel like high school teachers is always like, I'm just gonna teach from the book. And at community college, I feel like they know what they're doing and they like do work and they like actually have interest in their work and like their teach and what they're teaching. And like they have a desk at home and they like go over the material over and over and like all of that, you know. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Okay, so I want to like do other stuff. Okay, so the thing I'm interested in now is so I'm Filipino. I was born in the country. I moved to the U.S. when I was 3, and I stayed there for 26 years until I was 29. And when I was like, I took a year off after HS, so I didn't start college until 2005. I mean, yeah, not 2006, but 2005, because I graduated in '04. I remember I took a year off because I just wanted a break from study, and so I started in '05. And I took this one class, of course, I'm Filipino, and I'm like, oh my god, they teach Tagalog in college here? And I was like, oh my god, they never teach any Filipino anything in high school, not even in diversity elementary. Like, I never knew anything about being Filipino in America. So I was like, cool, you know, is this like a special thing? Being Filipino because we're so like unknown or like uncommon, rare game, searing, or rolls eyes, searing. Okay, so yeah. So I took this one college classroom, and my teacher forward slash professor, his name was Dr. Paz or Paz, Paz or Pas. I'm pretty sure it's Z. And he was the coolest teacher, professor. He studied in University of Manila, and he comes back to America and teaches us kids. And I was like, oh my god, this is so authentic. Oh my god, a teacher from the Philippines teaching here. And I was like, oh, this is cool. So I was really into the class. I was like I'm gonna like spill the tea. I took this class and it was all Filipino kids, No white kids or black kids or anyone else. And it was just us flips dot just us no dot whatever that gay porn site is, just us boys. And then I was like, oh my god, it's just us Filipino kids, so it was like cool. And then I sat in the back next to Chris Fulgencio. And then I noticed like no one was into the class, and I was like the only one having back and forths with the teacher over and over. I felt like he was just like me, and he was just looking at me and teaching me, because I was the only one that like was into the class and like knew Tagalog at home because my parents talked to me, and just I'm gonna say it over and over. We were the only one that was like talking to each other in the class, and I was like, why aren't the other kids like into it, you know? And then I don't know. I get it all the time. Even in high school at Wigmore, like all the Filipino kids weren't really Filipino. Like, sorry, like you weren't born there. You always represent, and like you don't know anything. You don't know the language. You don't even look hot or anything. You know, you did nothing for me. And then I was like, this is so stupid. And it even like trickles into college. I was like, the kids look hot here. Yeah, I guess I'm attracted to my own race. And then, but no one was like into it. And like the hot thing in the class, Trevor Magallanes, like he couldn't even speak. He couldn't speak English. He couldn't speak Tagalog or anything. And I was like, dude, you're so like cute and hot, attractive. You have everything going for you, but you can't even speak your own language in America. And then I was like, are you educated? Like, can you speak to like people? It was just weird. And after class, my friend Jennifer Chow, she's like, do you want to get pho? And I was like, sure. And then I walked inside. It was like Vietnamese garden in San Mateo. And Trevor was there from like a break from work eating pho. And he like looked up at me and we made eye contact. And I was like, are you following me or something? Do you know me? It was weird. I didn't say anything, and me and Jen just sat down. She had her combination, and I always get chicken pho because I don't know, I just like it. There's like no reason. I always get chicken pho. It's my favorite. Um, my friends like egg me on to get something else than my usual. So if it's not chicken pho, I usually get the number 8 at PPQ on either, it was Balboa or, it was either, yeah, it's always Balboa or Noriega, and I'm pretty sure it was back, so it's Balboa. PPQ, number 2, and number 8 was so good. It was the chicken curry pho. And even my friend Chow, she was like, that's not real pho. But I loved it. And like, I can eat it. It's very rich and creamy. And I don't get diarrhea. It was so good. I can like taste it right now. Yeah, if I could go back to San Francisco for anything, it would be the number 8 chicken curry pho at PPQ. Okay. So anyway, back to this. I was like in college. Okay, so I'm gonna just say it. I'm Filipino. I always grew up Filipino. Even my parents taught me Filipino, being Filipino with an F. But in college, the teacher was like, you know, we're doing this new thing. It's like a social justice warrior, minorities, and there's more to being Filipino than just the language, the food, the country. And he's like, I'm doing this new thing. Can you like do it with me? And I was like, okay, cool. So the new big thing right now is the word Pilipino. Pilipino. Filipino with a P. I know it sounds kind of a lot soft, because F is so like hard and like therefore easy to say. Um, and I was like, cool. I guess like an educated college, university student is just like, oh, it's Filipino people, the Filipino language, the Filipino country. And this is stuff I would only learn in developed America. From an actual college, an actual community. It was so cool, good, great, everything. I was so into it. Yeah, and I was the only one having back and forth with the teacher, and I don't remember everything, but I kind of do. He would constantly hand out papers. I would read it. It was just like elementary. It was just like spelling, the word, and they straight up ask you, can you directly translate this English word into Filipino? And then I was like, oh cool, I know everything. So like for example, like the word book would just be like libro or libro, 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 libro. Or the word tree would just be like uno, 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 uno. It helps if you're like white American if you say young. Lowercase, all Y-U-N-G. Young. It's like a filler word. And basically, I hate when people like scout say they hate the word like. Because like to us white kids, it just helps us with like everything. And then young whatever. So young puno is like the tree or a tree. Doesn't really mean anything. You can directly translate it into whatever you feel, you know. So it's either the or whatever. And then just the third word is just like TV. So me as an American kid, I'd be like young TV, but I guess I would just say like young television set or young television box, whatever. Okay, anyways, the gist or gist of this teach free Filipino class online is just like, I guess we'll do that. The word young, because that was me as a professional academia was like, hey, teacher dude, stoner balloner, like, what does young mean to you? And he kind of like stuttered, and then he was like, oh, young. And he immediately said like. And he was like, oh, it's a filler word. I love Dr. Paz because I gave him such a hard time. I had so many questions about that one verb. And he like couldn't answer it. I was like, why is this dude not like answering this question for me? No one had my back. I felt like they didn't even know what was going on. No one ever spoke in that class. And I was like, what is y'all thinking we's gonna do? Like, fuck on a desk? Or something? Like, is you stuck in, like, My Girl and, like, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream? I'm like, oh, God. The only cool was Chris. We sat in the back, and I would, like, have little side convos with him. I was so into the classroom, I would just like turn my head to the left, be like, Chris. And then, I don't know, I would just say like, oh, are you having fun? Do you get what he's saying? And he's like, I don't get anything, Jod, can you help me? And then I'd be like, what is wrong with you? Like, he like gives me the paper, he's like, and I like fill it in for him. And I'm like, do you get it? And then he like wouldn't say anything. And I'm like, ew, sexual. So I go back to the teacher, and then no, I'm just kidding. I see him sometimes at Tefran, and he works at this kiosk. It's like a tooth whitening thing, and I never feel bad about my natural teeth. But like he would always like egg me on to like get it done, and I would always say no. I never felt bad, just cause like I was so busy going through the trends. I don't know, but I always saw him there, so it was cool. I never thought it was weird. He was such a cool guy. He's even on my Facebook and he talks to me. Okay, so besides Young, there's this one game, Chrono Trigger, and there's this one line in the game, and it's basically like when Anal was like talking about some shit, and basically the text gist was just like, the black wind howls. The black wind howls. Everyone makes a big deal about that, and I'm like, okay, the black wind, just that. And then so I'm gonna be like, because every teacher is just like, read it, and then can you say it in your own words? So that's a huge deal to me in elementary school. I use that for everything, technique. And then, so I'm like, obviously, I'm just like, I'm Tagalog, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take the black wind and like translate it back into like native Tagalog, and then like say it back in my own words in American, so it makes sense to me, more sense as like a brown. So I'll be like the black wind, and then in Tagalog I would just say like yung itim na hangin, which basically is like the black wind direct. Yung itim na hangin. Like, I don't even want to spell it. Yung itim na hangin. Not nung. Okay. And then when I like re-translate it back into English, it's basically just like the dark wind, which makes more sense to me than saying black, which is just a color in like all lowercase. So the dark wind. So yeah, not even the dark wind howls. I'm just like the dark wind. Yung itim na hangin, the dark wind. So you can like read into that, like the dark is like, oh, it means bird or wyvern, and then they're like wind, like linko, wind, and then air, and then people make a big deal about that. I'm like, who cares? Remember in Captain Planet, everyone's like, do you like G? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I love saying water. But everyone loves Linka because she says it in her native tongue. I can't even do Russian, so I'm not going to say it right now. But when I say it, it sounds even cooler. It's like, wind. Alright, so, yeah, English is so much better American. I can't even do the Russian because I don't have it in me. I straight up can't. I never make fun of Russian people ever. Okay, so back to me and my life. Yeah, I have more to say about this class, but I'm gonna just end it.